Hello, and welcome to another episode of Walk the Dog Cinema. Here we are. Nice evening starting to creep in here, and me and the Roca are just getting out and getting our walk in. And today I'm gonna touch upon another kind of horror movie, just like I did with Sinners. Kind of went back to Some Kids in Peril. I hadn't seen the movie in a very long time. I'm talking about The Gate. It's a fun little independent film that kind of did a lot of business back in the day. And like I said, I hadn't seen it in a long time. So sit back and enjoy, and let's have a discussion about The Gate. So, The Gate, yeah. It's a movie that I want to say I hadn't seen probably 25 years, maybe 30. It's been a minute for sure. And coming up to I start kind of watching horror movies around this time. I mix it up a little bit, but most movies kind of start going into like fantasy, science fiction, horror, try to keep them suspenseful and things like that as I work into Halloween season, which fall season's great. I wanted to touch upon The Gate. I think it's a really good movie. It's entertaining. Kind of going off of what I was saying before, it isn't earth shattering or groundbreaking. It's just kind of this nice movie that, especially in the 80s, it's low budget. It was kind of just middle of the road, especially when I saw it back in the day. But I always enjoyed it. And again, seeing the movie as an adult, kind of with fresh eyes and a little bit different. Maybe I can see why adults back then really didn't like the movie if it was just very kiddie or whatever. And I say that doesn't really hold up. I actually like it better now as an adult than I ever did back then. Back then, I just always admired the effects. To be honest, I thought all of it was kind of stop motion, and that's not the case. There is a stop motion monster in there. I'm really into stop motion, King Kong. I love Mighty Joe Young, anything by Ray Harryhausen. Obviously, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, the Rancor monster. Phil Tippett is amazing, with RoboCop, Ed 209, for having all of that stuff. So, it's really cool to find out that it was people in costumes. So I'll get into that. But if you've never seen The Gate, I check it out, especially, running on Kids in Peril, as we've talked about. The script is actually really good. All the kids and teenagers and whatnot really sound authentic. I think that's kind of what I really noticed with the day and age of kind of listening to the script. It doesn't over-explain itself. It moves right along. It's only an hour and a half long, and everyone just sounds really real. The banter with it is fantastic. And the one actor who's kind of made a name for himself a little bit from this is young Stephen Dorff from Blade, and some other TV shows and movies. He's stayed in the business quite a bit. So this was kind of his first movie, and he's only like 13 in this. He does a great job. And he does a really good job with it all. The whole movie is basically about these kids who don't realize that there's a portal to hell in their backyard. And they accidentally open it up when the sister of the two main boys, sister of Stephen Dorff, they kind of do a prank and open the portal to hell, and then the shenanigans go on, and then basically little demons are trying to get them and get a sacrifice so the big demon can come and get them. And pretty straightforward, simplistic plot, especially for an 80s movie. And you know, it's all sorts of chaos and you know, fever dream stuff going on that's quite kooky. So it's fun how it gets there. And about those demons, there's these little demons that were really popular from the movie, and I found out that it was just guys in little rubber suits basically, and everything was done within the scope of the camera, you know, physical effect, force perspectives, and or layering, where they shoot it and then kind of green screen it in, and so they're not always there, but within how they force perspective the shots and then optically insert things. That's what they did with all this, and there's some great effects within it that you can see that was done back then on very low budgets that actually kind of wow you. I mean, at least for me, even to this day, watching it, you kind of go, wow, how did they do that? It really is some really neat moments where a demon falls over and it splits in all these little demons, and it was all done optically in the camera. Like, they did it and fool you in camera with edits and quick cut and just kind of like a sleight of hand trick. So it's really cool to see that being pulled off. And you know, I'm a big proponent of that. I wish movies nowadays, they, you know, I'm gonna be honest, you know, maybe it's the old man part of me, you know, too much reliance on CGI, but these kind of movies, I mean, these tricks are there, and I know from a technical standpoint it's much harder than CGI on certain basis, right? But it's really cool to see, you know, and it kind of even goes back to Sinners, where a lot of what they're tricking with is done in camera, even in that film, with you know, Michael B. Jordan playing the two characters. So it's really cool to see, you know, practical effects being used and how the trickery is done, and it really gives some weight to the whole proceedings. And then when the big monster that is stop motion comes about, we buy it. And yeah, it's stop motion, but because it's coming from hell, and yeah, no secret, you know, someone gets sacrificed, it all ends good. You know, this isn't one of those where when we get into the 90s everything ends bad thing. Everything's earned in this film, so I'll get more into it. And just, yeah, sorry about that, I had to take care of some dog business there, you know, so there's a little bit of a cut there, but just moving on. Again, you know, the movie starts, we get introduced to the characters, you know, spoiler alert here, so again, you know, I'm gonna be talking spoilers here. And like I said, the one character, Stephen Dorff, he's got a sister who's older, and she has a party. We see a tree getting cut down in the back, and it's kind of has a hole in there, and that'll be the portal to hell that gets opened up. So like I said, a lot of fun stuff happens, you know, some nifty little special effects, but like I said, what I love is the interactions. But the other part that I really dig is there's a big 80s thing that was happening back then with supposed satanic messages in records, and if they're played backwards you would hear these satanic messages. They've been going on since like the Beatles in the 60s, but there was kind of like this crazy fever pitch with D&D and this stuff going on with demonic, you know, the devil's is on the rise, and Satanism is on the rise, and all of these kind of I wouldn't say like hysteria, but it definitely was in the news cycle. I remember it right around when this movie came out, about like, you know, Ozzy Osbourne, Slayer, like all the, you know, because the covers were, you know, really crazy. Some great art, by the way, but you know, they were pretty crazy. And you know, you had your didn't know it at the day as a kid, but you're politicizing of it all, and just everything fever pitch for the media. And but what I like is that the movie took all of that and played it for real, tongue-in-cheek, but played it for real in the one sense, and then also played it that it's also the salvation. So it had its cake and eats it too in this. But how we get there with the made-up band, and how it opens the portal, and then how they learn how to close the portal, and yeah, the best friend of Stephen Dorff's character is this heavy metal dude who's, you know, really nerdy but is pretty funny. I mean, he's got a great part in it. And you know, it was kind of the 80s staple back then. You had the nerdy guy kind of being funny, but in this, he's played really real in the one sense, and misunderstood. And I'm gonna say, even back then, you know, heavy metal dudes were kind of misunderstood. You know, they carried all different types of walks of life, just like people who listened to, you know, the top 40 back then and things like that. So it's kind of interesting how this movie plays on it, and just kind of really watching the movie as an adult who lived through that. You know, I see why it resonated when I was younger, when this movie came out around 86, 87. And so yeah, it was fun kind of like hitting back on that. But just know that the plot of the movie was a real hysteria back then in the 80s. So it's kind of funny to watch it now. And if you know the history of that, it's kind of a hoot. So I really do enjoy that aspect of it. And again, you know, this isn't earth-shaking. You know, I'd only give this movie like a 7, 8. It's just average, but it's fun, you know. And I think we need more fun movies in this day and age. Not everything needs to be a 10. I don't think everything needs to set out to be a 10, but everything does need to set out to be entertaining, right? And for me, this movie's entertaining. So give it a whirl. Tell me what you think about it. Let me know. Join in the conversation. Again, watch for the special effects. It's all practical, and then the stop motion, see if you catch it. But like I said, everything's done in camera. Nothing done outside of it. This was done very low budget. And tell me if you enjoyed it. Have a good one, everyone.